I'm a stay-at-home dad, so I kind of hate stay-at-home dad books like this one. I don't even need to read the book to know what's going to happen. Watson's gonna watch the kids and he's gonna screw up royally because all men are total idiots. They don't know how to cook and clean. Morons. Stupid men. Eventually, he's going to need a woman to come save him, and he's going to learn a lesson that he should never try to be vaguely competent again. You see why I hate these books? I hate stay-at-home dad books. Yeah, I know I wrote one, but that was a murder mystery, and at least in my book, the hero gets better on his own. In this book, Watson's just an idiot who should stop trying.
Argo Fump Book Review. Argo Fump Book Review.
This book was written by Jonna Beecham and Malcolm Hillgartner. It snowed last night, and Watson's having trouble getting his car started. He's very sweaty and flushed after pushing the car for a minute, so Sam and Kristy help him out. After 12 pages of recap, Watson shovels the drive. Again, he looks completely winded. Watson crouches down and has a heart attack. Kristy rushes inside to call 911, and I've got a little tear in my eye now, because Kristy's first instinct is to say Watson is her father, not her stepfather. And that's just really sweet. Mom and Nanny follow Watson to the hospital, while Kristy stays at home and watches the kids. You'll notice she does a much better job of watching the kids than Watson does. Just wanted to point that out. Watson's an idiot. 13-year-old girls are amazing. So Kristy and the kids make a get-well-soon basket. Kristy's friends come over to help her, and they prep the kids for tomorrow. The good news is that Watson is reasonably okay. He's going to be in the hospital for a week, but it was a mild heart attack. He should be able to avoid another one with diet, exercise, and working less. If I was Watson, I would probably retire immediately. He's a millionaire. He doesn't need the money. Dawn babysits for the Marshalls. Haven't seen them in a while. Mrs. Phillips is here with her 3 kids. The moms are total jerks. They force Dawn to babysit all 5 kids, but they only pay her for watching 2. Wow, how cheap are they? To make things worse, it's a Babysitter's Club rule that you need 2 sitters if there's more than 4 kids. That rule comes into play at Mallory's house all the time. And it's a good rule because Dawn can't possibly keep up with all the kids at once. The kids destroy things and make a mess. Nanny helps rearrange everyone's schedules so they can visit Watson in the hospital each day. They throw a low-key party for him when he comes back home. Everyone is happy and crying, except Karen. As usual, she's throwing a temper tantrum because people aren't turning their lives upside down to suit her whims. I understand she wants to spend more time with her dad. That makes total sense. But she has to learn the world does not revolve around her. Mallory babysits the Marshalls. Again, Mrs. Marshall dumps 5 kids on her when she says there's only 2 kids. It's a total disaster. One kid starts bleeding. Mallory calls in Jessie for emergency support, but Mrs. Marshall refuses to pay Jessie.
Thanks for helping, Jessie, Mrs. Marshall said, opening her wallet. But I hope you don't expect to be paid for it. I only hired 1 sitter.
You're only paying the 2-kid rate, you cheap jerk. Watson announces he's going to become a Mr.Mom. He wants to cook and clean and help the kids, just like Nanny does. He starts off by cooking pancakes in the oven. What? You don't cook pancakes in the oven. You cook them in pans. That's in the name, pancake. How did he mess that up? Also, he mops the floor before 7 a.m., and I'm sorry, no parent is that enthusiastic about house cleaning. Watson gets better as time goes on. He has an unintended standoff with Nanny when he gets pizza the same night she cooked pasta. Nanny stops talking to people and hides in her room all the time. Before they can wonder if she's turning into Mary Ann, Nancy announces she's rented an apartment and is moving out of the house. Oh no! The next time Mrs. Marshall calls, they decide to send 2 sitters to her house just in case. Sure enough, Mrs. Marshall tries to get an 80% discount again. When she refuses to pay 2 sitters full price, Stacy says they can't take the job, and she leaves on the spot. Stacy is so awesome. But at the next BSC meeting, they realize, wait, did anyone ever tell Mrs. Marshall about the 2 sitters for 5 kids rule? No, they didn't. They just assumed she knew the rule and got mad at her for it. The babysitters feel bad about the misunderstanding, but I don't. She made you watch 5 kids, but she only paid you for watching 2. She's still a jerk, even if she didn't know about the child limit. The book has a lot of talk about the fact that one person can't watch 5 kids at once. Surprisingly, Kristy doesn't apply this rule to Watson. She assumes he can watch 7 kids by himself, no problem. Well, it turns out he can't. Shortly after Karen and Andrew arrive for the month, there is a disaster day. The baby is sick, Sam forgot to get groceries, homework and mittens are lost, no one has lunch ready, Watson's work calls for him multiple times, Andrew hurts himself, the kids need snacks, the snacks aren't good enough so Karen makes her own, Karen's an idiot who makes a huge mess in the kitchen, Watson is flooded with faxes, Sam is an idiot who forgot the groceries again, nobody remembered to make dinner, and David Michael was supposed to be picked up an hour ago. It's not a good day for Mr.Mom, but I don't think it's entirely his fault. Watson didn't get any sleep last night, and the 2-year-old is sick. Before the day even got started, it was doomed to be awful for him. Luckily, Mom comes home to save Watson. Later, Nanny hears Watson ordered pizza 2 nights in a row. Best dad ever! But Nanny is angry. She puts her foot down and says, "That does it! She's coming back home to help everybody!" I told you the book would end with a woman coming to save Watson. Nanny confesses she only left in the first place because she thought they didn't need her anymore. She's glad to know they do need her after all. This is a mirrored storyline. Nanny made assumptions instead of talking to her family members. The girls made assumptions about Mrs. Marshall instead of talking to her. So the moral of the book is that you shouldn't make assumptions. Unless you're assuming Watson is an idiot who can't possibly improve his housekeeping skills. Because everybody in the book makes that assumption, and nobody remembers Watson was doing just fine as Mr.Mom for 3 weeks. One bad day totally cancels that out, and it dooms Watson as a lost cause forever. Do you see why I hate this kind of book? They're just so awful to stay-at-home dads. Anyway, the babysitters talk things out with Mrs. Marshall. Watson will work from home 3 hours every day, and they all go see David Michael's animal play. That's why he's dressed as a rooster on the cover. I probably should have mentioned that earlier. The end. Post-book follow-up. This book has 3 extra long chapters, the disaster day chapter and 2 chapters of waiting to hear back from the hospital. It conveys the feeling that these terrible days are long and don't come to an end. That was a nice touch. I also liked how emotional the book was. Watson has several glassy-eyed moments where he considers how much he loves his family and how close he came to losing them. That was great! As I said, I expected this book to be a comedy where the stay-at-home dad is everyone's punching bag, and yeah, we got that. But it didn't come until 80% of the way through the book. I expected the whole book to be that way. I'm really glad that the majority of the book was about Watson's relationship to his family and how things are changing due to his heart attack. That is a much better storyline. I am glad that is most of the book. The storyline with the Marshalls is good too, although the moral is a little weak. The girls learn they should talk to parents about problems. Come on, they already knew that. Let's not pretend they didn't. I give Babysitters Club number 81, Kristy and Mr.Mom, an 8 out of 10. I also demand to see a sequel, Marianne and Mrs. Dad. I want to see Marianne's dad go out of town for a few weeks, and then her stepmom totally screws up trying to fill in Richard's shoes. That would be hilarious. That would be great, right?